Greetings and welcome to another module of the Permission Movement Experience. My name is V. Lynn Hawkins. I'm your host and creator of the Permission Movement. It stems from a book called Permission to be Powerful, and I am bringing to you today one of our co-authors, Dr. Kimberly Burnham. And Kimberly is going to share something very exciting today. We're going to talk about see your way to a new story through sensational medicine. Kimberly is a teacher, a mentor, author, speaker, also known to many as the Nerve Whisperer. And she's a brain and nervous system expert that has a PhD in Integrative Medicine and helps people recover from pain, from Parkinson's, autism, and more, to regain their senses and live through a newfound relationship with their senses. Once diagnosed, and I'd love to hear this story. I want everyone to hear this story. She's got an amazing story. Once diagnosed clinically blind, Kimberly decided that was not going to be her story. And she went about doing the things that changed everything and got her not only a new life, new vision, but it started her on a career path that has brought her to where she is today. She helps people all over the world through what she calls sensational medicine. And she's going to talk to us today about what that's all about. But right now, let me just give you a little bit of how it is that we came to this whole permission movement experience. And it was a group, it is a group of amazing women entrepreneurs who wanted to contribute to a book for women entrepreneurs. And each co-author has written about something that really influenced their story on their journey to healing, to becoming the woman that she is today, standing in her power. And those things are being brought out in a study guide and a leader guide. And we are calling this an outreach project, a literacy and authorship outreach project that's going to reach girls and women around the world. Right now, we're initially focusing on girls who are aging out of foster care and looking at, what's ahead of me? I don't know. It's scary. We're looking at girls who are coming out of juvenile detention, women who are transitioning out of the prison system, women who are transitioning out of the military, and looking at life ahead of them being so much different than life before, life behind them. And quite honestly, some are very scared about what's ahead and not having the number of life skills in their toolbox. One of the things we wanted to do is help them to gain more. And Kimberly is going to bring us something that she's done and she's sharing with the world in the work that she does and in the story that she tells that is sensational medicine. So I want to welcome Dr. Kimberly Burnham. Hi, Kim.
Thank you. It's so great to be here. It's so important for people to have a chance to share their story, and I feel very fortunate to be able to share my story here today.
Beautiful. Well, why don't we just get into it? Tell us a little bit about this story, this journey that you were on. How it was that you were diagnosed, what inspired you to say, no, that's not going to be my story, and really start crafting what it was that you wanted to see in your life.
Right. I was really fortunate in my early 20s. I attended Brigham Young University, and they have a campus in Hawaii where I was able to go to school for 4 months. And one of my best memories from Hawaii, I did a lot of scuba diving. It was amazing. One of my best memories was we took a day off and we went over to Kauai, which is called the Garden Island. And they have this fern grotto there that's this lush green ferns. And, one of the things that I learned later is that ferns are a fractal pattern, where the small part is like the big part, only smaller. But here I am in this lush, very moist, humid environment, all these different variations of green in this kind of like grotto or cave. And I just, looking back today, and even at the time, I really appreciated the beauty in my world. And a few years later, I was working as a professional photographer and a journalist. And when I was 28, I found myself in an ophthalmologist's office. And with his white coat and impressive degrees on the wall, he said, "You have a genetic condition, keratoconus." And he said, "It's genetic. There's nothing that you can do about it. And you need to prepare your life in case you become blind." I was working as a professional photographer, and there really are not very many blind photographers. It's really, obviously that's a skill that you need to be able to see. And one of the amazing things about photographers, I think, is that they have the ability to see, to really see the whole scene and how it comes together. I don't know if you've ever had this experience of taking a picture of someone and thinking, "Oh, this is great, I'm really happy to have this picture," and then you get it, you see it, or you get it developed, you get it printed, and then in the print you see that in the background there's a tree and it looks like a branch is growing out of their head. One of the things about photographers is that they're able to see those things before they take the picture, so that then they get a picture where, maybe they had to say to the person, "Just move slightly to the left," so that it doesn't look like a branch is growing out of your head. And so there are lots of aspects of seeing that a photographer needs. And I was faced with this diagnosis, and for a time I believed the ophthalmologist. I believed that there was nothing that I could do. I believed that I would become blind, and that was just going to be my life. And I ended up going to massage school, a profession that you can do without being able to see if you need to. Excuse me.
Okay. Take a minute. While she's doing that and getting her voice back, I'm really enthralled by this story, because it really is sometimes that we, trusting other people, buy into what it is that they want us to believe about our own story. And it takes something deep from the heart to really bring it out, to make a statement that you don't want to agree with it, and you want to do something to change it. And so thanks, Kimberly, for sharing that, and continue. This is just amazing.
Right. And so one day at massage school, I was learning so many things about the body, about life. And one day at massage school, I had a pounding migraine headache. I had this black spot in the middle of my vision that I could hardly see. I was taking a test, and I had to literally move my head from side to side in order to see the questions on the page. And on my way home, I lived in Toronto, and I was riding the subway home, and I was just thinking, this is not okay. There has to be something that I can do. And that really propelled me on this journey of finding solutions for my own vision issues, my own migraine problems, any health issues that I had. It really propelled me on this journey to find what were those answers that were going to help me. And I I took a lot of classes. I learned that in acupuncture that there are gallbladder meridian points along the side of the eye and the side of the head that if you tap on them, if you rub them, if you press them, that can help improve your vision. I learned that the eyes are made up of a lot of water and fats, and that fats, you need to have good fats in your diet, olive oil, avocados, cashews, things like that. You need to have those things in your diet in order to have good vision and to help support healing of your eyes. I learned that craniosacral therapy and other hands-on therapies could help you to improve blood flow into your head and help to get those nutrients and oxygen to your eyes. And within about 5 years of that day in massage school where I had that migraine and I said, you know, I have to find answers for myself. Within about 5 years, I was the director of vision services for a large complementary and alternative medicine clinic. And I really feel that part of the reason that I was the director of vision services is that I could say to people, I know that these techniques work, because no one could tell me it doesn't work because of what I literally saw in my own life. You know, that diagnosis changed my life, and it was a dark day when I was diagnosed, but and I could have just believed that ophthalmologist and done things, you know, knowing that my life was going, you know, that I was not going to be able to see well. But instead, I went on this journey of seeking out what was going to help me. And today, I have better vision than when I was 40. I have better vision than when I was 28. And probably better vision than when I was in Hawaii in that green, you know, that lush green fern grotto. And, you know, I just, every day I'm really appreciative of my vision, because I had that scare, if you will, that dark day, and it really makes me appreciate my vision much more. And today I help people who want to improve their vision or improve their nervous system to find answers for themselves, to find what is it that's going to change their life, to transform that so that they can achieve their goals.
That's amazing. You know, when you said that, it made me think about, you know, how we hear the answers are within you. And, you know, we often think about that as I've got this, you know, emotional or, you know, thinking process that's kind of off kilter. And the answers are within you. Let's take a deep dive and see, you know, what we can find. But the truth is that the body is really able to heal itself of so much, physical, emotional, and there are ways that you can tap into that, so to speak, and help to stimulate the body so that it knows that you're interested in doing that. Because I think one of the things, and help me to kind of bring this to the audience, one of the things that we don't know is that when an issue shows up, it's trying to tell us something.
Absolutely, and you know, we don't always know what it's trying to tell us, but there are always options. And I would say for me, one of the biggest takeaways of my life experience is don't let anyone tell you what's possible for you. Don't let anyone, in a sense, rain on your parade. Don't let anyone say, you know what, you need to plan for this narrow life because a fuller, bigger life is not possible for you, is not going to be possible for you. Don't let anyone tell you that. We none of us know what the future is, and I believe that our expectation of what the future is significantly influences our future. And it's one of the reasons why I think that the permission movement and this experience is so amazing, is that I think that it opens up, it shares stories of what has been possible, and gives and inspires people to think, hey, if that was possible for that person, maybe it's possible for me also, and inspires people to really seek out the answers that creates a bigger life for them. There's some fascinating research on storytelling where they looked at people who had high blood pressure. So already there's something going on with their heart. And they had 3 groups in this study. One group, they were asked the question, how does high blood pressure affect your life? And these were ordinary people, and they just talked about, on camera, they talked about what the blood pressure issues, how they affected their life, what kinds of things they'd done, what dreams they had, just anything that they wanted to say in answer to that question, how does having high blood pressure affect you? That was group number 1. Group number 2 watched those videos. So these are people with high blood pressure, and they're watching videos of other people like themselves that are talking about their experience of high blood pressure. The third group watched an informational video about health. So what was interesting was the second group that just watched these videos of people like themselves with high blood pressure, their blood pressure improved. And what was so impressive about this is that some of those people that were watching the videos, they had what's called uncontrolled high blood pressure, which means they take medication, they do exercise, they do things, but it still doesn't help their blood pressure. Their blood pressure improved. And in the third group, the ones that watched an informational video, their blood pressure didn't change particularly from watching that video. And so I think that what this research says, or can say to us, is sharing stories, telling our story, hearing other people's stories can inspire us, but also can literally change things like blood pressure. And sometimes what we're listening to is not only somebody else telling us a story, but what we say ourselves. Think about what we say ourselves. Like almost every day, somebody is going to ask you probably, how are you doing? Right? And how we answer that question, the story that we tell about our experience of life, about how we see the world, not only are they listening, but every cell in our body is listening. And it's a story. And if you think about if every cell in your body is listening, what are you saying? What are you noticing? How are you thinking about the world around you? Um, there's some other research that says that if you hold out an apple in your hand and you have this apple, you look at the apple, you feel it in your hand, certain parts of your brain light up, right? Visual aspects, sensation aspects, um, how you think about it, how you think about apples, whether you like apples or don't like apples, certain parts of your brain light up. And what they found is that if you put that apple down and you close your eyes and you imagine that you're holding an apple, and you imagine the red of the apple and the shininess and maybe the variation, right? Because it's not one solid red, unless you're looking at an apple that's in like Snow White, for example. Those apples were completely red, one color. But a regular apple has variations, it has a pattern. And what they found was those same parts of your brain light up. And so to your brain, whether you're imagining or visualizing that you're holding an apple or actually holding an apple, there's not that much difference in how it affects your brain. And so it's one of the reasons that I often talk about visualization and the power of what we imagine and what we see with our inner eye. And, you know, that's so colored by what we see around us. You know, if you don't really notice what's around you, it's much harder to visualize something. So that I would challenge you to look around and really notice your surroundings, notice the colors, the shapes, how many of certain things there are. And then close your eyes and see if you can recreate with your mind that image. And then, and this is the really magical part, is then once you can imagine the reality of your life, you can start to visualize things changing. You can visualize something different. And sometimes what's easiest is to change the color. So maybe you're looking at a room with a peach-colored wall. You know, maybe change that color to red or to blue or to yellow or to whatever color you want in your visualization. And as you develop those skills to be able to look at reality, look at your life, look at what's going on, and then close your eyes and recreate that life, and then start to change things. And it's a skill that can be developed. And once you can start to change things, I mean, if you can change in your visualization, change the color of the wall from a peach color to a yellow color, you can start to change everything in your life in terms of what you're visualizing. And that visualization, that communicates, that's an interface between reality or consciousness and the subconscious. And once you get that bridge between consciousness and your subconscious, then how you respond to your life starts to change, how you respond to other people, how you respond to opportunities, whether you're able to see those opportunities, everything changes. And it's a powerful exercise to be able to change something in your visualization and change it to something that you want. And especially when you start to visualize your future. So that, you know, earlier I said we none of us know what the future is, but we have some ideas of what to expect in our future. And if you can change those expectations, I think you start to change the future.
I agree. I agree. I think that's very powerful what you've just said. And I want to play both sides of this because I love being in the conversation about creating that future. It's all about the dream. But then you have this segment of people who say, I know my past does not equate to my future, but you're talking about visualizing something different. All I know is, what I've experienced in my past, and that's a feeling that I am so entrenched in that it could in fact skew what I'm thinking about the future. I don't believe it. It's just a dream. Yeah, it happened for somebody else, and it might be able to happen for me, but stuff like that just doesn't happen. It's fairy tale. How can I really believe that this is something that's available to me? And I do know too that that is something that people see. How do you change that vision, that vision of being in that space of, I hear what you're saying. Honestly, I don't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
It can happen for some, but maybe not for me. How do you address that?
Right. So that's why I think it's easiest to start with changing colors in your visualization. Because, often we don't have a great attachment to whether the wall in our visualization is a peach color or a blue. And so I think those are easy things to change, and you can still say to yourself, okay, so I can change the color of the wall in my visualization, but that's not really going to change my life. And I'm okay with people that say that. As long as they're willing to just spend even 5 minutes doing these visualizations where they change something in their visualization. And I think ultimately the proof is in life. And the only thing I can say to people that say to me, oh, that's total bunk, there's no way that that's going to work, or there's no way that that's going to work for me, the only thing that I can say to them is that it has worked for me, and it might work for you if you spend just 5 minutes or so just doing some visualizations, doing some vision exercises. And if it doesn't work, then you spend those 5 minutes, and that maybe wasted your time, but it's not a lot to ask. And if it does work, then you'll start to see things that change. Another I think great vision exercise that's easy to do is, and we've talked about this on other shows that I've done with you, but Lynn, but this is the blinking exercise, and it's an exercise that Nike has a set of goggles that are, I think, $600 goggles that elite athletes use. These goggles, and the goggles blink for you. Basically, you put these goggles on and they start blinking so that for a period of time, and you can vary the period of time, it's black, and for a period of time it's open. But imagine a football player running down a running back or a receiver, a wide receiver, running down the field. The quarterback throws the football. It comes over the receiver's head, and he has to catch it, right? I mean, it's a skill that a hand-eye coordination skill. So now imagine that he puts on these goggles and they start blinking. So for some of the time, the screen is blanked out and he can't see where the ball is, but he still has to catch the ball. And what this does is the brain starts to say, okay, it gets black sometimes, and I can't see anything. So when it's open, I need to really grab all that information and take it in faster so that I can still do what I need to do, catch that ball. And so anyway, the way that I've modified this exercise so that pretty much anyone can do it is you blink your eyes, and as you're blinking your eyes, you look around the room and you pick a color, say red, and you look at all the things that are red, and you notice all the things that are red in your environment. You can do it with colors. You can do it. You can notice all the things that are square. You can notice numbers. How many chairs are there? But always have a question in your mind about what color it is, or shapes, or numbers of things as you blink, because this puts a demand on your brain to communicate with your eyes and try and grab this information. My experience is that when I do this, first of all, I notice more afterwards. When I stop, I notice more in my environment. I actually see more of what's in my environment. It also seems brighter to me in the room. It seems like there's more light. And then, so that's the first part, the easier part that I encourage people to start with. The harder part is to take a ball and with someone else start blinking your eyes and throw a ball back and forth, or throw it up against the wall, or throw it in the air if you're by yourself. And see how difficult it is to just throw and catch a ball while you're blinking your eyes. It makes it significantly more difficult, but my experience, and I think that it's what most people would experience, is that as you do it over a few days, it gets easier and easier and easier. And what this means is it means that your hand-eye coordination is improving, and also your ability to really notice what's in your environment improves. And that's a physical change that happens, but I think that we can also link that to the metaphorical, and that as you notice more in your environment, you can notice more opportunities in your environment, and you can notice more barriers or blockages, things that are preventing you from achieving your goals and having the life that you want. We have to be able to see those, or experience them, or take in the information that lets us know where are those barriers, so that we can avoid them, so that we can eliminate them, so that we can get rid of them, whatever we need to do to those barriers. And we also need to be able to see the opportunities, see those doors that are open. I worked, a few years ago, I worked with this little girl, 4 years old. She came in, she was like hiding behind her mother. She had some hip problems, and so I was working with her to help mobilize her hip. But as I was working with her, I also noticed that her awareness of her environment was not what it should be. And it turned out that she had had adenoid surgery, and maybe had not come out of the anesthesia quite the way that she should have. But as I was working with her, I had her walk across the room. And the first time I said, just walk over across the room to that door. And she walked over and came back. And then about 15 minutes later, I had her walk again. And she peeked around the corner where there was like a storage room, and she was like peeking into the storage room that second time. And then the next time, she said the whole time there had been this big red ball in the middle of the room, and she walked by it and she said, "Can I play with this later?" And I said, "Sure." And then she came back, and then at the end of the hour, her mother and I were talking about the treatment, and she went in one of the other rooms where we had a couch and a basket with scarves. And we went in there, and she was jumping on the couch, throwing scarves in the air, and I thought to myself, her mother is going to kill me. I have taken this shy, quiet little girl and turned her into a girl that is jumping on the couch, throwing scarves in the air. And so a week later, when her mother called me, I thought, oh no, she's gonna like kill me. And she said, thank you so much. Her life has been so much better in this last week. She plays much nicer with other kids. She's happier. And, I really think that it's not only children, it's adults also, that if you have a child who really can only focus on one toy that they have in their hands, and there might be like lots of things, books and toys all around their room, but they have a certain toy. And their ability to sort of experience the world is limited, and they only can experience that toy. If you take that toy away, they're going to have a fit, right? They're going to be crying and sad, where if you have a child who has a toy in their hand that they're playing with, that they like, but they also realize visually, experientially, that there are lots of books and toys and games in their room, if you take that away, if you say, you know what, I need to take this right now, the most likely thing is that they are going to go and get something else.
Right.
Right? And so what is the difference between those two children? It's their ability to experience the opportunities and what is available to them. And they might still have a favorite toy. They might want to play with that toy, but it's not the end of the world if they can't play with that toy, if something happens with that toy, if they realize what other opportunities and what other things are around them. And vision is an important part of that. And doing visualization exercises, doing this blinking exercise, it can help you to literally be able to see when you're bumping up against something that you need to go around or avoid, and it can help you to see other opportunities in your environment. The other day somebody was telling me a story. I believe that Wayne Dyer, I think it was a story told by Wayne Dyer, about this girl who wanted to work with horses, and she complained for 2 years. She complained to her mother, nobody's going to give me a job. I really want to do this, but there are no jobs for me. And one day, her mother said to her, okay, let's just look at it in a different way. What are the kinds of opportunities that you might be able to have? What kinds of horses? Talk to me about horses. What is it about horses? What's beautiful? Describe. Let's just talk about horses and think about it in a different way. And later that day, she was driving down the road, the daughter, and she saw this little card stuck to a post on the side of the road, and it said, wanted a stable hand to work with horses. She pulled over to the side of the road. She calls up the woman who hires her that day, and the woman said, oh, how did you hear about this job? And she said, I saw this little card that was stuck on a post on the wall on the side of the road, and the woman said, oh yeah, I've had that up for 2 years. I haven't been able to find anybody to work for 2 years. It's like it was there the whole time, but she didn't see it. And And so really looking around, this is another exercise that I can recommend, and that is to pick a color when you get in the car, and you don't want to be like looking like this all around behind you for this exercise, but looking forward and in your peripheral vision, just notice. Say if you're going to look for lime green. I'll pick lime green because there are pretty much no cars that are lime green. I've done it with lime green, and there are pretty much no cars with lime green. But anyway, so what you do is you get in the car and you're looking ahead, safely driving, looking at the traffic patterns, and you're looking for everything that is lime green. Are there any signs that are lime green? Is there any plants, any cars, any people wearing lime green? And what this does is it actually makes you a safer driver, because I don't know if you've ever had the experience of getting somewhere, driving somewhere, and then you get there and you're like, wow, I don't even remember anything about where I just drove. That's a scary thing, right? Yeah. That means literally your brain was not really engaged. And so this exercise, not only does it really engage your brain, but it makes you a safer driver, and you notice more. You notice more things. The other thing you can do is drive a different way, like vary some aspect of your driving. And GPSs are great for this, because if you think, oh no, if I go a different way I'll get lost, you just put the GPS on. If you have a GPS, which I do, I love my GPS, you put the GPS on, and then you go one block another way, and it will recalculate for you and tell you, how to best continue on your way. But by going a different way, it forces your brain to pay attention to your environment. Same old really is a turnoff for your brain. And so what happens is you arrive at your destination feeling safer, being safer, feeling happier, and more aware of your environment, so that you can take advantage of the opportunities that are at your destination, wherever you just drove to. And you can do it walking as well. But so this exercise, it can change everything. Because, if you think about, if I hear a door slam, I live in a house where there are other people here, and somebody might be slamming a door, but, it's light, I feel safe, I know the people that are in the house. It doesn't worry me much if I hear a noise like that. But now imagine it's pitch black, I think that I'm here alone, I can't see or hear anything else, and I hear that same door. It is not going to affect my physiology, the way my heart beats, the way my lungs beat, the way my muscles tense up. It is not going to affect me in the same way. Right. If it's light like this and I hear it, I might not even register that I'm hearing something like that. I might not be paying attention at all. But if I hear it and it's pitch black and I don't hear anything else and I think I'm alone, those expectations and the inability to take in visual information, it's like it's a physical response, a fear response. And so when we're not paying attention to our environment, our body is more on alert. Our body is more in that fear response. And so by doing the blinking exercise, by paying attention to a particular color, just picking a color, by paying attention to that, by going a different way, by doing something new, we literally make our bodies feel safer. And I think it's well known that when we're stressed, our immune system doesn't work as well, our
Mhm.
mind doesn't work as well, we don't have as much brain clarity as when we're relaxed and calm. And so, just improving our vision with a few exercises, and even if it's just like a little bit,
Mhm.
um, it only takes one opportunity to change our life.
I know you had mentioned somewhere that this was truly an art, and when people think about using the senses, you do think about more being in the artistic realm. And you talked about learning these skills, and learning these skills actually too is an art. It's how do you really train your palate to know the taste of X, Y, or Z? It's an art. It's a skill that you pick up, that you find that you enjoy, you like it. And I can see all of the things that you mentioned about the vision of the future, the vision, your eyes, the vision of what you see in front of yourself versus the vision of what you bring to yourself that you don't even really consciously even think about seeing. What it does to your physical body as well as your emotional state. All of these things being the sense of vision. And you help people not just using vision, but you use all of the senses in the work that you do, correct?
Right. So that really with any kind of nervous system disorder, whether it's vision, whether it's hearing, whether it's brain clarity, um, whether it's chronic pain, because pain is a sensation, and it's a sensation that we don't want. But there's another interesting thing about the brain, and that is that from a brain perspective, it's easier for us to reach out for what we want than to let go of what we don't want. And so when we have pain in our life, when we have physical pain or emotional pain or social pain, which from a brain perspective is not so different, so that, that saying, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me, it's
Not
simply
true.
not true. It's absolutely not true. Um, that that social pain and emotional pain is, from a physical and brain perspective, very similar to stepping on a tack and having physical pain from that. Um, but when we have pain, whatever kind of pain it is, we don't want that. I mean, I think that's a normal response to pain, is that we don't want it. Um, but if we say to ourselves, okay, I have to get rid of this pain, how am I going to get rid of this pain? That's a less effective strategy than saying, my back hurts, what can I do to strengthen my abdominal muscles? What can I do to drink more water so that my body is well hydrated? What can I do to eat more oranges so that I can get enough vitamin C so that the blood vessels can be strong and supply my back with uh, good nutrients and oxygen. Um, it's actually, from a brain perspective, it's easier for us to accomplish those things, and then we'll find that once we do those things, then our pain goes away. But saying, okay, how can I get rid of this pain, is a less effective strategy
I
than thinking
agree.
of positive things. And literally, from a brain perspective, it's easier for us to reach out for what we want. And I think that that's true metaphorically also, so that if you're in a bad relationship, or if you're having trouble at work and you're saying, okay, how do I get rid of this trouble? That's less effective than saying, okay, what can I do to improve this relationship? Or what can I do to make my work environment a better environment? And some of it's just noticing what is good about the environment.
Right. And one of the things that I've learned is that the brain doesn't process the negative. So if you're thinking, what can I do to get rid of this pain? Your brain actually hears, what can I do for the pain?
Right.
And thus it allows you to stay in the pain and bring more pain to yourself versus what you would rather have instead. And that's an excellent process to get to. What would I rather have instead? What positive thing can I do? Can I think? Can I say? Can I walk in order to get to what I would rather have instead? And that brings me to what I would love for you to share with our audience, and that truly is a what would I rather have instead? And sometimes we need help in getting there. And I love that that's the work that you do, because so many of us are caught in the space of, we can't see the forest for the trees. We can't see the sunshine because we've got the black umbrella hovering so close over our head, thinking that it's raining and the sun is shining, we can't even tell. And you've brought something to our audience that is twofold. One, the access to your Sensational Medicine radio show, and then the other being the offer of the Sensational Medicine Vision Package Program. Tell our audience about what this is all about.
Right. So if you follow the link, which
and it's,
do you want to give the link?
Let me give the link. It's permissionmovement.org. And you'll go to the home page, and at the top, the yellow menu bar all the way to the right, you'll see PM Experience, and there's a drop-down menu. And you'll see Sensational Medicine right there. Click that button, and you'll get to the page that has all of this wonderful information that Kimberly's sharing with us.
Perfect. And so what you have access to is through the Sensational Medicine radio show, you can go and listen to past shows where I talk about different sensations and different exercises to be able to experience the world in a greater way.
While she's getting her water and her voice back, let me just give you the link one more time. It's permissionmovement.org, and once you get there, across the top yellow menu bar, you'll see PM Experience, and you'll see the drop down, go straight to Sensational Medicine, and you'll find this information.
Right, and so what you have access to is the radio show, and that's free of charge. And then you can also access for $197 a separate program that's videos and reports and audio programs that will help you to improve your vision, as well as 2 coaching sessions with me where I work with you individually to see, okay, what is it that is going to help you see better, hear better, enjoy life more fully, see the opportunities more. What is going to help you to physically improve your vision and metaphorically improve your vision.
Beautiful. It's really key that you have the opportunity to understand what it is that impacts your future. And as a woman in business, you already know that there are so many distractions, that clarity and vision is something that you want to have for yourself. You need to have for yourself. And a lot of times, we're looking at our story and how it impacts that. Whether someone's told you you can't do this, or you've, been on this mission to increase your client base, increase your community, get more engagement out of your community or in your community, and those things aren't happening. It could just be because of the way that you're looking at it. And so being a part of what Kimberly has offered to you, you not only get the resilient, diverse edge radio show recordings access, you get the 2-hour coaching session with Kimberly to really help hone in on what it is that you're seeing and how it is that you can improve your vision. You get video programs, audio programs, special reports, ebooks, bonus coupons, and so much more. She's got a wealth of information for you. And the other thing that I would really love to point out is that if you have been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease or know someone who has, this is the work that Kimberly is even more passionate about. And I want you to make sure that you connect with her, join her community, get involved, and get access to the information that she is sharing for yourself and for others that you might know. And really, for this cost and what it is that you get, I think we totaled it to be about $600 worth of product, including her time, that can help you to move forward and shift some things in your life. It's all about writing the story of the future that you'd like to have in your life and in your business. And the Permission Movement experience is all about bringing those opportunities to you. So I invite you to take Kimberly up on her offer. Once again, go to permissionmovement.org, go to the top menu bar, and select PM Experience. Go to Sensational Medicine in the drop-down menu, and you'll get right to the page. And then I'd like to also ask you to make sure to consider helping us to help the girls and the women that we want to bring this information to as well. Digital packages are only $147. There's 3 ways to pay. And if I could give you an opportunity to get involved in something like this and have the complete set of all of the recordings plus all of the bonuses of the Permission Movement experience for no money today, yet you can get it, would that be something that you would be interested in doing? So on the same page, on the left-hand side, you'll see more information about the Permission Movement experience, what we've been doing over this 9 weeks that's not quite over yet. And lots of recordings that you can go back to, invite friends into, and just help us to help these girls and women to get these skills and tools in their toolbox, their life skills toolbox, and help yourself with the information that Kimberly's giving you here. Once again, permissionmovement.org, and you'll find in the drop-down menu under PM Experience the Sensational Medicine. And as we wrap up our show today, our time together in this module, Kimberly, is there one thing that you would like to share with our audience for them to take away today with them that is going to sum things up, that's going to bring them to a new place to consider doing more to improve their vision? What would it be?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've given a lot of exercises, and I would encourage people to at least try those exercises. But really, to sum it up, I would say really see your world and look at your world, and don't let anyone else tell you what's possible for you, because there's so many opportunities out there, and we need to see them. And if we have time, I can tell a joke actually that might really sum it up.
Okay.
Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson are out camping, and about 3 o'clock in the morning, Sherlock Holmes nudges Watson and he says, "Look up, what do you see?" And Watson, he's very specific. He says, "I see millions of points of light." And Sherlock Holmes says, "What does this tell you?" And Watson launches into this explanation. "Well, I know that each point of light is a star around which planets are revolving, and if I look at it from an astronomy perspective, I know that I see the constellations, and I know that we're in the northern hemisphere. It's about 3 o'clock in the morning. And if I look at it from an astrology perspective, I see that Cancer is rising." Sherlock Holmes says, "You idiot, somebody stole our tent." Because it's Sherlock Holmes who says looking is not the same as seeing. So I really encourage you to see your world.
Beautiful. And I guess I'm writing that down. Looking is not the same as seeing.
Yes.
Ah, beautiful. So, to our audience, thank you, Kimberly. Thank you so much for being here, for sharing, and for helping us to see more in what it is that we're doing, and more in the possibilities of what our story, the story that's ahead of us, can be written and played out as. Thank you to our audience for joining us today for another module of the Permission Movement Experience. My name is Velen Hawkins, and I'm so blessed that you've been here with us. Thank you for joining us, and we are going to see you on Monday. What are we doing on Monday? Let me see really quickly. Should have had this. It's a surprise. But next week, I do want to let you know, next week we are going to have Dame DC Cordova, the co-founder of Money and You, and she's going to be talking about money in your story. We're also going to have Deborah Thompson, who is in the UK with Excel in Your Life, and she's going to be talking about how to excel in writing your new story. And we're going to have Aileen Boundy, who's going to be talking about aligning with your purpose in your story. So make sure you join us next Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and blessings to you. Until next time, bye everyone.
Bye, thank you.